I'm going to be honest, I didn't actually think I would like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness as much as I do right now. The recent Marvel films haven't been all that. Shang-Chi was alright, although granted I was really stoned when I saw that, so make of that what you will. No Way Home, didn't feel for it. I think people just overhyped it for some weird reason, maybe because it was Spider-Man or whatever. And you know, it's like, hey, those the older ones, remember them? Yeah, I do. What about them? And as for Black Widow and Eternals, the first one was an absolute atrocity, and Eternals, I didn't even see it, because I just knew from the trailers it'd be bad. Doctor Strange, I didn't know, so I thought I'd see what was going on, and Sam Raimi was behind it, and he's directed some of my favourite films, so I was very eager to see what he would do. And I wasn't disappointed. Legitimately, I actually enjoyed this film quite a bit. One of the things I appreciate about this film is that it's not, like, too overblown, it's not too far out there. It's surprisingly, despite the concept from hopping from universe to universe to universe, it's actually quite a self-contained story, and so I really appreciate that, because I don't feel as though, like, I'm forced to, like, indulge into, like, the other bits of media, the TV shows or other films that I would have to watch to understand what was going on. Though, to be honest, I did actually watch Shang-Chi, Loki, and WandaVision for obvious reasons, because there are references to Doctor Strange in two of them, and one of them, because the concept of multiverse, it might become important. Spider-Man, I didn't really want to watch that again, but like I knew they would just reference it at some point, which they did.
They'll never know what you sacrificed for them.
Like, why are you enabling her shitty fucking behavior? She brainwashed an entire town of people, robbed them of their autonomy. Why? Even if you're trying to sympathize with the person, don't enable it. Don't indulge that, like, because it can have some unforeseen and horrific consequences, which we see undergo in this film. Nice. Oh, and from this point on, I'm going to be talking about the rest of the movie, so there's obviously going to be spoilers. I know I have it in the title, but some people just, I don't know, they just, like, ignore what it says on the tin, I guess. We're already in an alternate universe with a different Strange and one character from the comics, America Chavez. I'm not really too familiar with her character. I'm very selective of the comics I read, and I don't really read the mainstream stuff, alright? Don't sue me. It's not a bad introduction to the film. It lets us know right away that whatever goes on, time will not be wasted, and the pacing of it is fantastic. It's easy and it flows very well throughout the film. I'm really surprised by that. It's 2 hours, but it doesn't feel it. The alternate Strange, he ends up dying after trying to take Chavez's powers from her. By the way, the cost of this is that taking away her powers will kill her as a result. Not sure why, but then again, her powers aren't really explained all that well, so to some extent, I suppose it's alright they're sort of left a little bit ambiguous. So Chavez, this demon that's chasing them, and the corpse of the alternate Doctor Strange get transported into our universe, our Doctor Strange, where he attends a wedding of Christine, a character I completely forgot was in the first film, because she, I don't know, like... So after a nice little bit of action, after killing the beast and explaining everything with America Chavez, Doctor Strange goes to find Wanda. But in this, I thought from the trailers what they would do is they would try to have Wanda start off as somewhat good, but because of the dark magic she's been learning, along the way she becomes the villain. Nope, they do not fuck around, they're just straight. No, she's straight up evil. She's the one who sent the demon after America. Wanda's motivation in this, I think after Thanos, what the MCU producers and writers and everything were trying to do is try to make compelling, understandable villains. You kind of got that in Shang-Chi, you got that a little bit in No Way Home, maybe Black Widow, because the villain there, they weren't acting of their own free will, whatever. This one, though, is not justifiable. Like, it's understandable, but that doesn't make it justifiable, do you know what I mean? Like, okay, I see where you're coming from, but bitch, you are fucking crazy. You want to be reunited with two children who are constructs that you made up. Like, how am I supposed to get behind this? Like, how am I supposed to, like, empathize with you in any meaningful way? But as well as that, she tries to, like, morally chastise Doctor Strange. Whenever he messes with things, he gets praised. Whenever she messes with things, well, she's the villain. Like, first, we need to be really clear on this. They are two completely different things. Doctor Strange is what he's done. That, obviously, it has some negative ramifications, but it has some positive ones, too. It saved a lot of lives. Yes, it did initially kill people, and it has potentially, like, ruined all of reality. However, what I will say is that at the end goal, it was to save a lot of people. Factoring the multiverse, like, that was for the most part, rather unforeseeable. What Donna? Who the fuck is Donna? What Wanda did, That's unjustifiable. I'm sorry. I know some people might try to oh, I understand her. No, she robbed people of their free will. That's not justifiable. You can't compare these two and what they're doing. At the end of the day, Doctor Strange, although questionable to some people did die, and we're dealing with Multiverse of Madness and everything. It's one of those. It's the ends justify the means to an extent. Not that it's always correct. But what Wanda did is you can't justify that. Where is it ever permissible to rob people of their free will? Taking civilians, making them play out weird sitcom fantasies? No. One thing I'll say as well is they don't try to deeply justify it entirely. Part of why Wanda is doing what she's doing is that she's been influenced by the I forget the name of the book now, but it's just the evil book, the Book of Darkness, because that has an impact on a person's psyche and their morality and the way of thinking and everything. So that kind of writes it away. It's like in Star Wars with the light side and dark side. The dark side will corrupt you and make you evil and sinister and whatever, right? It's kind of like that. So it's it kind of hand waves it away, so you don't need to explain it too much, but there's the motivation that she's clinging on to is even without that, it still wouldn't be justifiable at the end of the day. And by this time, Wanda is full evil. She attacks this Sanctum Sanctorum just to get to America. And Doctor Strange, as hard as he tries, he cannot stop her. Wanda's powers have gone so beyond the Sorcerer Supreme. I mean, he's not even the Sorcerer Supreme at this point anyway, so what does it matter? There are a few little moments in this where I'll look at where that moment where he twists the mirror dimension on Wanda, and the way she gets out, that little moment of body horror, I actually like that. Sam Raimi's style is really coming through. When I see a director coming through in their cinematography and the way they're unraveling the story, I really it's so noticeable from the rest of these films, and how flat the cinematography is, how plain and boring the everything is. It's just beat by the numbers, bam, bam, bam. It means to get away from Wanda, Doctor Strange and America Chavez, they go from different universes. So we get a glimpse into a cartoon one, a multicolored one, the cube one that we see in the trailer, until finally we come to this one universe where civilization is relatively the same, but there's greenery all over it and multicolored plants. It feels a little bit different, and that's one of the things I kind of like. It's a bit of what Sam Raimi did with The Wizard of Oz, that little sort of whimsical sort of feel about everything. Everyone dresses like it's sort of the 1920s, so it's very... I say that the style of this universe is very contemporary, and of course it wouldn't be a Sam Raimi film without an appearance from the one and only Bruce Campbell. He doesn't really add anything to the story, it's just a cameo, and I kind of like that. It's like what he's always done. Doctor Strange makes him punch himself though, so I don't know if that's true. And from there we find out that in this universe, Doctor Strange had died, and the new Sorcerer Supreme is not Wong, it is Baron Mordo. Is it Baron Mordo? Mordo. Mordain. I forget. From there, they get captured. I'm not going to explain how. From there, once they've been captured, Doctor Strange is presented in front of, and you've seen this in the trailer, you've heard his voice, with Patrick Stewart and the rest of the Illuminati. And if you're a fan of the comics, you know exactly what that means. We're introduced to the other members: Peggy Carter, Black Bolt, Reed Richards from the Fantastic Four, Monica Rambeau's mother as Captain Marvel, I forget her name. And they explain that in this universe, Doctor Strange was killed after delving into dark magic, after killing Thanos, and the consequences of what that led to. The one thing he used to do was called dreamwalking, and what that is where you transfer your consciousness into the body of another person in another universe. Basically, what had happened was a universe had been completely destroyed, one where Thanos had actually wiped out all life in the universe. So, as bad things sometimes get, at least we're still alive. Which is a nice little way of setting up what Wanda is going to do. She's going to dreamwalk into the universe where Doctor Strange is right now and try to retrieve America. And in doing so, now depending how you feel about this, I didn't mind it too much. She flat out kills the Illuminati. She makes Black Bolt's head explode in on itself. It crumbles. It was quite horrific. Just that moment of desperation that he had. His mouth had been sealed up. If you don't know about Black Bolt, his voice is so extreme that it can shatter you. It's like hearing the voice of God reverberate in your head, and it just explodes from Kevin Smith's Dogma. It's incredible. But yeah, like that moment of desperation and panic he had, like he didn't realize, like it just bounced back from where his mouth used to be into the back of his skull and just crumbled in. It was quite intense. I didn't. Sam Raimi makes you feel a little bit for like rather insignificant characters in some of the worst ways. Reed Richards, he gets turned into spaghetti, and the worst thing about that is when Wanda asks him if he has kids. He does, they still have their mother, and she's like, well, at least I'll have someone to take care of them. It's like, bitch, why would you deprive children of their, like, father? I lie. Like, why would you take any parent away, mother or father, from their children? Captain Carter's death made me laugh a little bit, because, like, right after she said, I can do this all day, she gets sliced in half by her own shield. I was like, you can do this all day. No, you fucking can't. Captain Marvel's death was very, very underwhelming. Like, it really made the character look significantly more weak. I don't know if it's because she's only powerful when, like, that energy is flowing through her at that very moment. But when it wasn't, and she got crushed, she just died immediately. So it's like, huh. That was rather unfortunate. You got taken out that easily. I would have liked to have seen a bit more of a spectacle with the death of that character and those abilities, you know? And as Wanda is closing in on America, who's still being contained by the Illuminati at this point, Professor Xavier goes in to save her, and like when he enters her mind, we see I forget the name of what the style is called. It's Sophia or but there's a little bit of that going on with the background, the lines you can see vaguely in the background behind Professor Xavier as he's walking through Wanda's mind with this blank construct with like bits of debris, and you can even see a little bit of a flicker throughout the whole thing. It's just little choices like that which gives a sort of, it helps make the mind feel a little bit more distinguished. You know, I could imagine other people's minds are somewhat similar or even vastly different. Some minds are more vibrant, some are a bit more chill in the color, and some are just like flat out black and white. It really personalizes the internal mind in that sense in Wanda's aspect. Unfortunately, Professor Xavier, he is just there for kind of a cameo and he does get killed off. It was kind of sad because we saw this, it was very different from how we saw it in like Logan, where he was helpless and was killed by a merciless implementation of Weapon X. But to see this Professor Xavier like die trying to help people, although unfortunate, it's a bit better. I did kind of like that. He gave his life doing the right thing, and that was doing what Professor X always wants to do: help and save people. A lot of people might get really annoyed at this. Felt like, oh, it's just a cameo, just to have him and kill him off. It's like, yeah, that is kind of the thing right now. Sorry. You know, if you haven't caught up about what these films are like now, it's like, maybe you shouldn't be watching them, you know? It's like, you're not going to enjoy them. It's like, because I go into these films, I don't exactly expect, like, high R. Like, I kind of have a low opinion of them. At the very bare minimum, they have to entertain me. If they don't, oh well, whatever. If they do, awesome. Like, I don't see the point in getting, like, so ass-pain about it. Like, calm the fuck down. Like, what's wrong with you, brother? And so while Doctor Strange, Christine in this universe, and America are being chased by Wanda, they go into the secret storage for this universe's Doctor Strange, where he had a gateway to this, sort of like this MacGuffin, I'd say, Deus Ex Machina. It's just like a magical book, like the opposite of the Book of Darkness. It's the Book of Lightness or Hope or whatever. It's like, I don't know the names, I just saw the movie and I just come back. And basically what it does, it allows the reader to find a way to defeat any adversary. They get it, and Wanda immediately destroys it. That's good, I like that. Things that could provide easy answers, I don't like when things do that. I like when they destroy them, so it ups the ante a little bit, raises the stakes, as it were. So, Wanda, getting Chavez to open a portal with a little bit of a twisted mind control, forces Doctor Strange and Christine into an alternate universe while she goes back to her universe and leaves the body of the Wanda in that one. I kind of wondered for a little bit, like, what that Wanda would do if this one has powers, or if they don't. They do, and they weren't trapped in that dimension entirely, like, without any way to get back. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm actually glad they managed to get back into the one where they have kids, you know? There's a bit of thinking, what are their children gonna do? They're just gonna like, but then again, I have to wonder if like, are these children real or are they also constructs? I kind of like that those things aren't really answered, and so in the universe where Doctor Strange and Christine were sent to, it is so devastated. Like, two worlds had collided, and it's like there were portals. The gravity in this universe is just practically non-existent in certain spots. There were little tornadoes everywhere, and when they arrived to the Sanctum Sanctorum where that Doctor Strange is, there's like a bit where part of the building is being sucked into like this vortex. It was a nice little thing that was visually striking. I made this Sanctum Sanctorum as a magical spot feel a bit more occult-like as well. That's sort of the feeling I get. And so we find out one thing I need to mention, by the way, that's been set up now, is that whenever you dream about yourself in other scenarios, it's you from an alternate universe that's going through something. So it's like if you dreamed yourself as like a millionaire, that's you just seeing a vision of an alternate version of yourself. That's not just a dream. And so when Doctor Strange sees this universe is strange, when our Strange sees this strange, he tells him, like, this line is so horrid. It's like, do you ever have those dreams where you're falling and then you nearly hit the ground? Yeah, I'm probably the one who pushed you. And it's like, oh, that's horrid. But I like that. I like that little moment. But for that moment, his third eye opens, because this one has been dealing with dark magics too, and it corrupts you from the inside, and it does... I love it. One thing I'll say as well, the fight scene here, it wasn't anything too crazy. It was just they were taking musical notes and playing classical music. And I actually like that sort of little bit of creativity and ingenuity with the instruments and everything. It was... I like that. I think in the hands of any other director, if they just listen to other committees of people, it's like, oh, just have them like fight or whatever, like have it done with. No. It's like people who have visions can like take something, go, let's take this thing and do something with it. You know, the instruments, how can we incorporate that into it? And it's like, it really sort of diversifies the magic capabilities a bit more. It's not just like shields, portals, rings of magic, blah blah blah, and all that. It's like, it's really expanding it a bit more, and I do actually like that. I guess like WandaVision expanded like magic as well. It's like, it explains that there are different types of magic. There's a type that's used by the Sorcerer Supreme, and the kind that's typically used by the Witch, or Wiccans, or as it were. So it's like, there's not like one magic fits all into every slot kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? And so after killing this Strange, our Doctor Strange gets a hold of the Book of Darkness or whatever, and now he's going to dream walk into another universe. His universe, where Wanda is, and he has American Chavez, and he's going to suck out all her powers. And basically her motivation is like, the reason she wants to suck out American Chavez, which will kill her, by the way, she knows this, she doesn't care, she's fucking evil for this, is that her reasoning is that, what if one of her boys gets sick? There are multiple universes that could have a cure. And it's that kind of thing. What if other people kill her and take her powers and come for her boys? And it's like, right, but then what would you do? And this is actually brought up earlier on. What would you do to the original mother? And she doesn't really give an answer. Like, in that sense, she's not really put too much thought into it. So it's like, okay, whatever, you're grieving, sure, but like, the children you have are not real. If they were real, you could kind of understand, like, the process so much more. That's the thing. It's because they're not real that it's so hard for us to really attach with what she's saying. It's like, we can only really conclude that now she's just gone fucking crazy and not thinking straight. Which is why when asked that straight up, it's like she doesn't have an answer. She's like, fuck it, I'm gonna fucking do it anyway. And so what Doctor Strange does, he dreamwalks into the Doctor Strange that had died and his corpse is in our universe into his body. Like, it doesn't have to be alive. This I kind of look at and it really got me thinking about something. Yes, Wanda did infringe on so many people's personal autonomy, even an alternate universe version of herself. Doctor Strange hasn't, but I mean, desecrating a corpse, that's quite questionable behaviour. And one of the things I kind of come to is like, while thinking about this film, is that, and I don't know, maybe I'll get some hate for this, but like, sometimes when you're going for a greater good, sometimes a lesser evil has to be committed. And of course we can talk about the moral implications of possessing a corpse or whatever for the greater good, you know, so long as the dead person doesn't mind. I mean, they're not going to object. But I don't think even then that would make it sort of like excusable. It's like, it's one of those, like I say, like, that it's understandable, but it's not right either. But like sometimes it can be kind of hard to like really explain why it's wrong. It's one of those, like, it feels wrong to do that, but given the circumstances, you kind of allow it a little bit. It's like, sorry, Wanda, but you've tied some people's hands here right now. And while this zombie Strange is walking around to the, by the way, we should mention right now, the Book of Darkness itself is just a copy, and the real thing is just a temple, which had prophesied the Scarlet Witch the whole time. We get a nice, unique aesthetic with this one. So it's like, obviously because of the corpse thing, the cape itself is manufactured out of twisted evil spirits trying to punish Strange, which he conquered and compelled to his will to act as his cape as he flies towards the temple itself. And it's like, aesthetically, I think it's pretty good. Which brings me to something I want to say. Is that I think Sam Raimi above quite a lot of directors, because he has more clout than quite a lot of directors I think have actually worked for the MCU films. He can pull a bit more leverage. Obviously, he can't go too extreme. There are some gory elements in the film, but it's still somewhat tasteful in a manner that's not entirely gratuitous. And so Strange, realizing that he's not really any match for her, in a brief moment, America kind of like accepts dying, because she's the only one in her entire universe. She's been to about 72, 73, and she kind of accepts that maybe she has to die. And Doctor Strange, in a compassionate moment, lets her know. It's like, no, you don't have to. You can, like, fight. That strength is in you. You can control this power that you don't think you can. And so, yeah, maybe it's a little bit cheesy and hokey and whatever. I like it, whatever. Do you know what I mean? And so America opens a portal between our world and the world they just come from, where Wanda had possessed another Wanda. And in that moment, Wanda attacks that universe's Wanda, and her children are, like, terrified. They call her a witch, a monster, and everything. And Wanda, in a brief moment, gets to reflect on, like, what she has become. That everything she's trying to do is at such a devastating cost, having to face the reality of what she would have to do. And she breaks down. And the Wanda that she had tormented throughout this film goes up to her, and I could be wrong about this, because me and a friend of mine, when we saw it, we heard two completely different things. She heard, "Now go be loved," while I heard, "You will never be loved." I don't know, I think that says a lot about me. So, Wanda, kind of realizing what she's done, she destroys the Dark Temple, presumably killing herself. There's even like a little explosion as it all crumbles. All the books, all the copies, they burn up, they're gone forever too. Doctor Strange manages to get back to his world, where we see America learning some of the mystic arts. That's alright, I don't mind that. It'll probably help her control her powers a bit more. Maybe we'll see more of her, maybe we won't. It is what it is. And right at the end, where we think, everything's fine, it's all bright and lovely and hopeful, Sam Raimi can't really leave well enough alone. The music twists, the wind blows, and Doctor Strange gets a third eye in his forehead. Cool. I absolutely fucking adore this film, honestly. Again, I really didn't think it would be that good. A friend of mine told me I'd enjoy it, and she normally knows me pretty well, you know? She knows that why I would like a film, why I wouldn't like a film. And I appreciate the fact that I got to see this film and enjoy every moment of it. And you know what? I hope you enjoy this film too. If you don't, well, that's unfortunate. But that's not my problem now, is it?